Hey guys, it's me again. So a few months ago I did a video on table settings. And because it was so easy and it was so much fun doing it, and it's a lot more easier when I'm just talking to a random black dot on my computer rather than just trying to type so much out. So I decided that I would do another one. I think it was just a few days ago I was writing about my best event, and that was like the whole Wilco snowball. And I'm not even gonna think too much on it, or else I'll just get into it and I'll just keep talking and talking and talking. And I promise you, you do not want that. So I'm gonna quickly move on. And today I'm going to be talking about the event from hell. And I mean, Demi, I think, worked it, and I'm pretty sure, no, she did work it, but I think she's going to probably speak on this in her own portfolio. And Amy was there as well. I'm not sure if they're going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to be honest to a point. Um, but at the same, because I feel like it's only fair that I'm telling you all the good points that happened on this amazing journey, that I tell you all, not all of them, but some of the negative points. And this happens to be one of the events I didn't really enjoy too much, and it was a really hard event. I mean, it tested me mentally, it tested me physically, it tested me emotionally, and by the end of it, I just wanted the ground to just swallow me up, and I just wanted to disappear. And I mean, that's a bit extreme because it probably wasn't that bad, but because I'm not experienced in that sort of field, or I wasn't at the time, so it was just so much in just 2 days. And I mean, it was just long. So let's begin. I had to do an event at Duncombe Park. Um, I'm not even sure where Duncombe Park is. Give me a minute, I'm gonna find where Duncombe. Right, sorry about that. I'm back. So, where I left off, yes, I had to do an event at Duncombe Park, which is out near York in Helmsley. I'm really sorry that I didn't know. It's been a while now. And like I said, I was just talking about my best event, and I decided why not just share one of the harder events that I worked. But anyway, so I was at Duncombe Park. It was out in Helmsley, out near York, and because it was so far out, we had to get a cottage. We rented some cottages for us and some of the staff. It was just for the managers. So we rented a few cottages and we went out there, and it was a really good experience. I think it was so much fun because it was really nice to see my managers in more of a relaxed light and a relaxed atmosphere, because we were just chilling, at least for the first night. We were just chilling and having drinks, gin. They made me try gin because I'd never had gin before, and I actually really liked it. And it was just nice to have a cheeky takeaway and just relax. And like I said, like it was really good. But because it was such a big event, and it's like the first time that we've ever done something this big, we had to be on site for 6 o'clock, and the site was about 15-20 minute drive. So even though we had to be there for 6, we wanted to get there earlier, so we had to leave at 5:30. Mind you, because we were up drinking and talking, we didn't really get to bed till about 12:30, 1. So I was really tired to begin with, so tired, and not to mention it was one of the hottest days of the year as well. And I mean, I just felt shattered. I can't remember what month it was in because it was just that long ago, but I just remembered being so shattered. And but we got there, we had our briefing, and the only one of the things I would say that was quite difficult about this job was you had Helen, my boss, you had which I love you, mad love, mad respect. Then you had the owner of Taste. Then you had her brother. Then you had the chef who was doing the whole event. So if I can count that correctly, and then you had one of the head managers at Royal Armories, which again I'm pretty sure Demi or Amy would speak about because that's where they worked for their placement. So you had those five people who were managers, but it wasn't clear who was the head manager, who was saying like who was in charge of those managers. So they would tell us one person would tell us one thing, and then someone else would tell us something completely different, and it was just like you were getting so much different information, like start times for the breakfast, end times, start times for lunch when people when they would go out and come back. So it was just it was a bit of confusion, who to listen to, who to go to if you needed it. And so it was just kind of like up and down. But I didn't even tell you what the event was about. So the event was a charity event, and it was for people who were rich, first of all, and who were into clay pigeon shooting. But pretty much the guests came for breakfast, which consisted of bacon sandwiches and coffee and tea and pastries, like little breakfast pastries that you would have, like croissants and stuff like that. Or as my boyfriend says, croissants. And then they had opening announcements. Then they pretty much went off to their cars into waves, I think is what they called. I don't know. And they like a few groups left at a time, and they pretty much went around the park, and they had different zones where they did clay pigeon shooting. I don't know how that's even fun, remotely fun, but that's what they spent the day doing. While they were doing that, we were breaking down breakfast and setting up for them to then come back for drinks receptions and kind of like canapes, type of like a little socializing, I guess, to speak amongst one another and see how each person did, because it's kind of like even though there's a lot of people, they're kind of familiar with each other. So that was interesting to see, kind of rubbing shoulders with wealthy people. I don't know. I mean, surprisingly, they were really friendly. He did have some really friendly ones, especially when I was carrying around canapes. They absolutely loved the food, so that was really nice. Nice because you normally think that rich people are going to be all, you know, bougie and have an attitude with you, but they weren't like that. Then from their then from the drinks reception, they were then called into another room of the marquee because it was in a marquee in this field. Um, they were then called into the marquee. They again had opening remarks, announcements, and all this other stuff, and that's when we were that's when we began serving food. Now, up until this point, everything was fine. You know what I mean? Like we'd only been there for what, like 4 or 5 hours, maybe more. I'm probably not counting that right, but we were there for a while, so it wasn't too bad. But then but then the unevenness, and I think we have spoken about this in health and safety class before, where the marquee was, it was so uneven. I mean, you can tell that you were walking downhill because as you came out of the kitchen, like you could feel yourself beginning to walk past and you kind of had to stop, and that started to take a toll on my ankles. And I feel like I've already got bad ankles. I mean, I haven't had them checked out, but I feel like it's like a self diagnosed thing. Like, no, I have really bad ankles. Plus, my mom always used to call call me names and say that I had cankles when I was younger. So I've always believed that I had really bad ankles. So that started to wear on me. Not to mention there was no AC. It was the hottest month of the year. I think it was the hottest 2 days of that month of the year. I was dressed in all black, and because I thought we would have been cold, I thought we were going to be cold. I had tights on underneath my pants. I was sweating. I was sweating. I was hot. And when we were in the kitchen going for mains, because you've got all the hot plates, you've got the hot food, and then the plates, you're holding the plates in your hand, and that's hot. Then you've got the fire burners, and everything's just going, the heat just baking down onto the tent itself. It just felt like I was in a pressure cooker. And so many times over the 2 days, I honestly imagined myself just blacking out and just dropping on the floor. and staff just gonna having to just walk over me and just continue service without me because I just felt that bad. So many people just felt like that worn and torn, like it wasn't even funny. Like at some point I just wanted to kind of disappear into the bathroom stall, lock myself in there, and just stay there for the rest of the day. It was that bad. But I couldn't because Helen would probably like she would have murdered me. But that was like one of the hard things that you had to come over. And then again, going down the hill and having to trek all the way back up it. It was just like, if I had to do this one more time, I swear I'm gonna just climb to the top of this marquee and just jump off of it. I know I sound like I'm bitching, but this is just me, just the same way like I would say how good an event was. I think I would speak about, you know what I mean. So don't take this as me bitching. This is just me kind of like my everyone has hard events, right? This is just me explaining my hard event. Please note, right? Duncombe Park is probably on one of the biggest hills that I've ever seen in England, and that's saying something. Because driving up it the first day, or was it the second day? I can't remember. I had to go with this lady that they call the gin lady at work because she has a gin shack, and she's so sweet. She's so lovely, and she was in her little 300 pound, or was it 3 to 600 pound car that she was so happy and she was so proud of herself that she'd bought. So sweet. And it was like we were praying that it wouldn't stall out on us because the hill was like, I'm not even joking you. It was so steep at one point. Oh my god. Anyway, so the van had to come up that way because they didn't have any other way of getting there, and then plus they had to get all the food there in time for the breakfast and the lunch and all and the dinner and stuff. So the van had to come up that way, and the staff food toppled over and pretty much died on its way getting to the venue. So while all the rich people are eating their quail and their venison, our bloody vegetable lasagna is on the back of the van door, just gone to hell, and that's the only source of food that we had. And so the rest of the day, we were pretty much kind of like picking at whatever was left over. And at one point, it was a bit sad because there was nothing else that we could do. I don't think that there were any shops in the area, so it's not like it was anyone's fault. It's not like they didn't have the food to feed us. They did, but it was just in an unfortunate case that it toppled over and we were just left with pretty much nothing. So by the end of the day, not only was I tired, not only was my feet hurting me, not only was I hot and sweaty, I was just hungry. Like, I just wanted food, I just wanted to eat, I wanted my bed, I wanted a shower all in one. Like, if I could have had them all at one time, I would have accepted them there. Oh my gosh. Thing. Thankfully, the event went off really well. Everyone was really happy. Everyone loved everything. Everyone was singing praises, and that was great. And I thought we were just gonna jump in the car and just go home, and we would have been finished. But no, we had to reset for the next day. And because the delivering company, the hire company didn't deliver all of the cutlery, we had to wash over 300 forks. Mind you, it was a 3 course meal, so we had to wash over 300 forks. Times that by 3. 300 knives, times that by 2. And 300 spoons, as well as the plates. We had to wash all of them by hand because we were out in the middle of a field. And I mean, it was just like, oh my god. But I didn't even want to see a plate. I didn't even want to see a fork after that. It was just torture. But what made it good was that some of the staff, which I didn't know before going, I'd only met them on shift. They were so friendly and they were really good with kind of keeping you busy, and just like their happy go lucky energy and like positivity, their positive vibe that they kind of kept radiating is what kind of kept me going, at least, because in my head it was just like I'd already given up. Like I just wanted to sleep. Like it was, I know I sound like I'm complaining. I feel like I sound like I'm complaining, but I was just honestly tired by the end of it. But thankfully, it went quickly. It was quickly enough, and it was finished. And soon we were back on our way back to the cottage, and we showered and we ate, and that was good. And again, we had a few drinks again, but I just wasn't really in the mood for really laughing and for drinking that much. And I don't think anyone was. I think we were all just so stressed out, and we were all just ready to hit the hay. So we called that one an early night. And because we had set up and we had gotten like a feel for the for the marquee and where everything was, we knew the venue well after having to set up and spending the whole entire day in it. We were able to we were able to arrive a little bit later, so we didn't get there until about 6:30, I think, that morning. So that was really good for us. Even though it was just like an hour difference, it made it it really did make a difference. Um, but because it was the same day, pretty much twice over, it wasn't as bad because I knew what to expect. This time I didn't wear tights underneath my pants. I didn't, so it wasn't as bad. And I made sure to drink a lot of water. But then because everyone was drinking water, the water ran out. So we didn't have any staff water. So it was just kind of like drinking from the tap, and but the tap water was so warm, and I'm from the Caribbean, and I know people always make fun of people from America and like that side of the world for wanting like ice cold water. But I love my ice cold water. My boyfriend always takes piss out of me for it, but I love my ice cold water. I like it cold, and I cannot have it lukewarm. Like it does not satisfy me. If anything, it makes me feel worse if I have lukewarm water. So I didn't have that much water after the water ran out. So then again, I started getting agitated because it was just like I would fill my water bottle up with tap, put it in the fridge trailer, and then when I'd come back for it, it was gone. Someone had taken it. And so that frustrated me to no end, to the point where I just gave up, and I was just like, you know what, it's just not gonna work. Just might as well just not do it. Just over it. Right. Then imagine you're just chilling 15 minutes before the people are supposed to be called through, and everything's good, you're on time, you're ready. Oh wow, like good job guys. We've done good. Then all of a sudden, in the background, you hear this loud crash, then you turn around and the table's collapsed. 15 minutes before guests were supposed to be called through, the table collapsed, and pretty much everything broke on that table. So then we had to scramble to get it set back up, get new cutlery, new tablecloths, and mind you, we had only washed the exact amount of cutlery, maybe just a little bit over, but we had only washed like the exact amount of cutlery that we needed. So when we went back, there wasn't that much left over. So we had to rewash some cutlery again. And I mean, like, it isn't so bad, but you know, when you're hot, you're frustrated, you're tired, you're sleepy, you just want to go home. And then plus, you haven't been in your own bed, in the comfort of your own home. You've been kind of like around strangers in a sense, like in a strange environment. And I mean, as much as I liked it, I kind of like my own space and kind of like a introvert that way. I like being in my own little bubble. So it was just like by then, it was just like, can anything else go wrong? Oh my god. But thankfully, because there were so many people on staff, we were able to just set everything up quickly, bang it together, and we were pretty much good to go. And then the dinner commenced or started. I don't know why I'm using the word commence, but the dinner started. And again, as everyone was leaving, they kept saying how much they absolutely loved the service, how well everyone did, and that was really nice when you know you've had like a hard time on an event, but the guests tell you how good you've done. That makes you feel like really really good. And because we didn't have to set up anything, we didn't have to wash anything, and everything could go back to the hire company dirty, we just cleaned everything, cleared all the tables, and we just ripped tablecloth off. We broke down the tables. We just like we just went through it so quickly. I will not lie, my feet were killing me. It felt like I had two thumbtacks jammed into my heels and I was just walking on them. Like that's how much my feet hurt after that shift. But we just kept going things, getting things done. Everyone was doing their job, and this is what made me really happy. And the room was pretty much clear in no time, and that that was just really good. And it made it all worthwhile. As I sat down, I made sure with Helen that I didn't have anything more to do, nothing else needed to be done, because she was my ride. She had to drop me off back to Leeds, so I had to wait for her. But I sat down on the grass and I just overlooked the field of cows and sheep, and I just relaxed. That has got to be the highlight of that event. Like, I mean, I just felt like I was in heaven. I just felt so happy. I just felt like I'd accomplished something. Like I'd overcome such like a strenuous journey, something that felt like it took the air out of me. But at the same time, it was an experience that I don't think I'll ever forget, and I think I will carry it with me. And I'm glad that I'm sharing this, or I'm glad that I decided to share this with you guys. Um, I don't know how I've grown from it. I would say it's made me realize that I've got more in me than I believe, that I can push through things. If I really do try hard enough, I can push through it. I've just got to kind of get myself out of that negative space of thinking like, oh my god, I can't do this, and just do it and just get it done and over with, because once it's done, it's finished and you don't have to go back to it. So I think that's one of the good things that's come from it. And yeah, like I said, it was just a really good experience, and I'm so happy that I got to share this good or bad, I don't know, experience with you. I'm really sorry that I complained for pretty much like 20 minutes about an event. But know that I did take from it. I do try and take from the good and the bad experiences as much as I can. I try and grow from it and learn from it, because you can always learn from something. And I definitely learned from this event. And yeah, I have to say, even though it was a bad one, or it was a rough one, it wasn't a bad one, it was a rough one, the only way from there is up. And next year, because I think Taste is doing it again next year, if I do end up working it, I'm not sure if I will do, but if I do, I can only hope that it just gets better from there. So yeah, thanks again guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't annoy you too much with all my bitching and complaining. But yeah, you have a good night. Bye.